We didn't have any farming background before we started the farm. The whole idea came about because neither of us were satisfied or happy with our current jobs that we were in. People just love carrots. You're pretty much guaranteed to sell them if you can grow them, which is really, it's a good feeling. I just know, I look at it and just know like that's providing so many benefits to the soil. It was 6 years on the side. It got to a point where something had to give. It was either my full-time job, my family, or the farm. That first year or two was just not that much fun, to be honest. It was exciting, but it was just so much work. Hey.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Remind me of your name one more time.
Kyle Smith.
Kyle Smith. I don't know why it's so hard for me to remember such like a common name.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one that struggles with it. So.
Yeah, I'm Olivia, just in case. But that's your sister's name,
yes.
So I'm sure you remember that. And we are at, is it Wilder Love?
So that's a topic of conversation in of itself. It's Wilder Love.
Wilder Love.
I would say 90% of people say Wilder Love.
Yep.
About 5% of people say Wild Lover Farm, which that one I let the Wilder Love slip. Wild Lover, I have to correct. That is not the intent.
I mean, I guess maybe the grasses or the crops are my wild lover. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't want to go there. So. But Wilder Love.
Wilder Love.
So it's like wilderness, but Wilder Love.
That makes sense. I was going to ask you where you got your name from. So
yep.
Wilderness, you love the wilderness.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Very cool.
Yep.
And how big of an area do you have here?
We own 10 acres, but we only farm on less than 3.
Okay.
And even that 3 acres, a portion of that is dedicated to like cover cropping where we're not actually like growing in it. So yeah, 10 acres of space, 3 acres-ish of like growing. And it's produce and fresh cut flowers.
You said some of it is cover cropping.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, why cover crops? Good question. There's a lot of different things, but it's providing, our soil is not great to begin. We inherited bad soil. It's been depleted of its nutrients. It's very compact. It's had a lot of tractors driven on it. No livestock has been on it for probably a decade or more. So it's just been stripped of hay.
So what was it when you guys moved here? It was just a hay
field. Yeah.
Did they add any inputs to it or did they just cut it to cut it?
I think they limed it once. Other than like liming it, no amendments.
Wow.
So yeah, cover cropping, we've like probably 2 years ago just started doing that because it was just a foreign thing. And we actually didn't have like the 10 acres that we have now to like play with, more or less.
So you haven't been here that whole time?
Well, we've been here, we slowly acquired more land. So when we first got here, 2018, we only had like 1.5 acres. And then we got the lot next door, so that added another acre. And then just 2 years ago is when we got the field in the back. When we've been like, now that we have more land, it makes sense that we can like play with cover cropping because it does require space and time, and originally we just didn't have the space.
Small farmers' troubles is being landlocked. So you must feel very fortunate to be able to expand on the land that you already are basically on or are next to. How did that come about? A
family connection. So so this, where we're standing on right now, used to be my grandparents' land. They own 60 acres, kind of past. There's a fence that you can kind of see on this side of the trees. They own 60 acres this way. This used to be a part of the original farmland that we're standing on, and they subdivided it off like 10 years ago, probably actually longer than that. We bought this little plot here just to kind of begin, and then we did a couple years, realized, we want to pursue this further, so then we needed more land, and so we kind of kept going back and forth with my grandma, acquiring land. So that was like the hope of like being here was to get access to more land.
So you have 10 acres total now.
10 acres total now.
Okay. Is this part of your cover cropping right here?
Yeah, this is, we're actually kind of starting with like the least pretty thing on the farm, which is fine. Get the bad out of the way. So this was the original rectangle that we started farming. And then yes, we kind of stopped doing this plot last year, cover cropped it. So this is a cover crop plus weeds. The cover crop didn't take off as much. So we terminated one cover crop, tried to deseed another one.
What were they?
The first one was rye and vetch and clover. So we mowed that down this summer, and then I tried to seed more clover, more of something else, but it was hard to kind of get through the thatch that was left behind. And so weeds kind of germinated here. In year 2, we kind of went up the hill, and then year 3 was just this, like kind of long strip, kind of like a runway here. And then year 4 is when we expanded this way to the west, where you kind of see the tunnels. And that was a really great addition. Pretty much once we moved over to that plot with the tunnels, we kind of stopped growing this space because it just didn't, there's just issues with it, with drainage and just various things.
Yeah, well, I mean, I see it's on a down slope.
Yeah.
So you probably have some runoff.
Yeah, a lot.
You probably have some harder compacted
areas. It's just compact. Like initially establishing this plot just was different. Like this plot was established a different way. We chisel plowed it, which really broke up that hard pan, cover cropped it. So yeah, and there is a slope, but it's sloping a different way, which actually kind of makes it a little bit easier to farm. But yeah, and we didn't start with all these tunnels. We pretty much, I think we started with 2, and then every year we added 2 until we got to 7, what we're at now. Some of these tunnels are kind of empty, not really empty, but they're just young plants, so they don't look super full. But once we get down there, it's actually really pretty.
So after you did these tunnels, then where did you go?
Then we went south. Yeah, that's when we got the big greenhouse, kind of that are behind these caterpillar tunnels. And then we kind of went, this year was actually the first year we went this way into that field.
Back there,
okay. And then way in the back, there's a cover crop. You can see that like growth.
The tall?
Yes, that's sun hemp is what you see out there. So it's like, yeah, it's flowering. It's really flowered since summer. It just kind of keeps blooming, handled these frosts that we've had.
Okay.
But it will winter kill. Okay. And so I don't know if we'll grow in that field next year, but we're just building the soil while we don't need that yet.
Yeah.
It's just, we might one day.
Just let it hang out.
Just letting it hang out, building the soil. So.
Very cool.
It's such a nice thing to do. Like, I don't know. I just know, I look at it and just know like that's providing so many benefits to the soil, and I'm not doing anything to it. It's just, the biology's going, photosynthesizing. It's great.
That's awesome.
It makes me really happy.
The cover crop probably your favorite part of the farm then? Because you kind of light up with that.
No, it's not my favorite thing, but I love it.
Okay.
It's great. We've had some really good successes with it, and I've seen just like the benefits of it.
Yeah. What are you growing for? Because this is a lot, and I don't imagine you're eating all of this by yourself. So what are you growing for?
Yeah, well, this is 100% how we make our living. We have no outside income.
You just came home full time?
Last July, a little over a year ago, which is awesome. It was 6 years on the side, so it got to a point where something had to give. It was either my full-time job, my family, or the farm. It wasn't going to be the family. And I really loved the farm, and so we said bye to the full-time job, leaving options open in case something doesn't happen.
Of course.
Or in case we want to pivot. Farming is not always what it seems like it will be like, and you can have this idea about the lifestyle and how wonderful it is and beautiful it is, and it can be. Just not, for us, it's a business too, and it's a way to make our living. It's hard, it's stressful. And
because now you're the only one in control of your income.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, we have part-time help, which, let me be very clear. We have part-time help that is essential. So this is not just me or my wife. We have a crew.
The farm crew.
Farm crew. You know, we're not against, I don't intend to close the business or step away from farming, but if that is the right move for our family, then we're gonna do that.
Right.
Like that's priority. This is just a way to make a living that we love, are excited about, but yeah, it's not the end all be all. It's not gonna satisfy us in the way that I think we initially started it.
What were your initial thoughts? What did you think was going to happen first?
Well, so we didn't have any farming background before we started the farm. The whole idea came about because neither of us were satisfied or happy with our current jobs that we were in. We were living up in Indianapolis. I was in accounting and my wife was at the zoo. You would think the zoo is an incredible, fun, unique job.
Yeah.
And it is. The management was very poor.
Okay.
And a lot of gossip in the workplace. That was kind of disappointing. And then my work, I really enjoyed who I was working with, but was never really satisfied with the content of what I was doing, and just kind of went against a lot of my interests. And we were kind of projecting our lives. We didn't have kids at the time, but we were projecting our lives, what we wanted it to look like when we did have kids. I don't know, even then I just came home at the end of the day kind of drained with the career that I chose, and felt like it kind of almost took the best of me. Like at least it took a lot of my energy.
Yeah,
and
like
so
your mental energy.
Yes, and so I had kind of the leftovers at the end of the day. Just didn't want my kids to see that energy. We talked about starting a family business because even just the idea of leaving the house for 9 or 10 hours a day, and then seeing our kids a couple hours in the evening, like 5 days a week, like that's just not that much time.
Yeah.
And so we just talked about, is there another way to make a living? So we put a lot of our interests, I'll say skills, even though we didn't really have like farming skills, interest in a funnel. Farming was one thing that kind of popped out of that, and we kind of took baby steps into that realm. She volunteered at a farm, I volunteered at a farm, started listening to podcasts, reading books, YouTube, got very excited very quickly.
Yeah.
And every baby step felt good. And that first year or two was just not that much fun.
Okay.
To be honest, it was exciting, but it was just so much work. We definitely had successes, but I had a lot more failures than I anticipated. Even just like the initial seeding of things, like just they didn't germinate, or they did, and then they just looked really sickly.
Almost like you're told, oh, you just put a seed in the ground and it grows, and you're like, actually, apparently that's not true.
I can't tell you how many times, like you read the steps, like okay, you do this, this, this. All right, step 1, seed. And I'm waiting for step 2, and I can't get past step 1.
Yeah.
And like this is not supposed to be a hard part. like I was anticipating the hard part of being down the road, and so it's just ran into a lot of things. Realized I just don't like. I'm pivoting a little bit, but the learning curve is really difficult for me as an adult. Like I enjoy learning when there's like a teacher right there with me, or a coach right there with me.
Okay.
When I don't really have that, I really get in my head.
So when you bought this and you started farming, you didn't really have a mentor or anybody to kind of physically ask? Like you just had what people were putting online?
Yeah,
or books?
I wouldn't say like there were like people we could have called to ask questions, but we maybe just didn't do that as much as we should have.
Do you think maybe you felt like you should know the answer, so you were a little more apprehensive to do it because of maybe some fear?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a trial. I think in my whole life it's been hard for me to ask for help. So maybe like that's just my natural tendency. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just like maybe not wanting to like talk about it. I don't know. I can't really remember.
I think that resonates a lot with the farming side though. We are given the steps. We are told that other people are successful. And then when we aren't, we feel like huge failures.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go around telling everybody that you had these big giant plans to do these big giant cool things, and it turns out it didn't work out. And now I don't know what I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
People don't know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to share and talk about. I'm glad that you're open with it now.
Yeah.
And that you can kind of feel through that. But I think the successful part about it is that you were saying that you had all those feelings before you did all of this.
Yeah.
So how did you go from like, wait, maybe this isn't what I exactly thought it was going to be, to like, no, I think we can do this, and I think I can make it bigger and better, and it'd be okay?
Yeah, I don't know. We always finish the year excited to do it again. And I think
you're ready for it to be over, but then you're ready for it to start
kinda,
again.
yeah, I'm like ready for like to hit the reset button. Not to hit the quit button, but just the reset. Part of it's being young, I feel like helps just to have that energy.
Yeah.
We didn't have kids at the time. But even so, we made like other sacrifices. Yeah, I don't know. We had more successes than failures, even though we probably dwelt on the failures more than we should have. Just enjoyed it, being outside.
Yeah.
Even if like we didn't get to the desired level where we wanted to be on the various years that we started, we were still moving in the right direction. Not like we were going backwards or anything.
So you recognize that.
Recognize that.
Yeah.
And I feel like every year it has gotten easier, maybe except for year 2, but like we've done significantly more, and it's gotten significantly easier. That makes me really happy. That to me, that's like a good benchmark. Like even like adding more land, it feeling easier, and you're still managing it properly, that makes me really happy. Yeah, we started like narrowing our focus too for like crop selections, and that helped.
Okay,
kind of that
how
learning
so?
curve.
What were you focusing on?
We started focusing on greens. We
Okay.
started doing a little bit of everything. We kind of just doubled down on what was working. So the stuff that was kind of growing, even in our terrible soil. Lettuce was a big one. Most herbs did okay. Microgreens, but that's not really in the soil, more in the nursery. Honestly, I feel like that was like a lot.
The leafy.
Yeah, leafy greens.
Okay.
And then we kind of added some roots.
Okay.
Like a little bit of radish, turnips. And then we did tomatoes, and then we stopped doing tomatoes, and then we did them again this year.
Okay. Okay.
Now that we have like more manpower, I feel like
tomatoes are hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a lot harder than you think they are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything is. So,
yeah, exactly.
I think, but
so here we are then in your caterpillar tunnels.
Yep.
Is that what you call them? Yep. So you've got some baby greens over here, so they're growing there.
Yep.
But it looks like down here we've got some more productive stuff. So what's over here?
Yeah, so everything that is planted in these tunnels now is going to be here for most of the winter. This is all of our bunching greens or cooking greens. So curly kale is on the far right, these two beds, and then we have collards, middle left, lacinato kale on the far left with green onions or scallions kind of planted in between. So yeah, and these should be here all winter long, assuming they stay healthy. We have them on drip tape, so we'll...
Oh, right here.
Yeah, so that's kind of the ends of it.
Are these the 8-year
fabric?
Fabric.
I don't know what the year is on them, but I know we've have strips of fabric that are 6-7 years old and look fine.
Good.
So yeah, we've never had to like throw away some for just deteriorating. So I've loved using them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use them a lot.
Do they stay down all the time, or do you have to rip them up?
No, yeah, it just depends on the crop.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the only thing I don't like about them is pinning them down and then taking them out.
Yeah.
For the most part, once we put it in and whatever we plant into, there's very little weeds that come up. We do it primarily for weed control.
Yeah.
And
do you plant by hand?
Or
do you have a machine?
Yeah, everything's by hand.
By hand.
We direct seed as well, but that is with a push seeder.
Okay.
But anytime we transplant, that's all by hand.
Okay.
So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So we've just got a couple more down here.
Yeah.
Same thing.
A lot of scallions. Yeah, we really kind of went all in on the scallions right now.
Did you have, so I guess, who are you selling to?
Yeah, we do farmers markets year round.
Okay.
One in the summer, one in the winter. So pretty much 52 weeks of the year, we're at a market, give or take a couple that we take off.
Okay.
That's probably 70% of our sales, so more than half. We have an online store that people can order a la carte throughout the week. That's picked up a lot of traction, especially since we've added more crops that we're growing. Way better for a buyer that they can add in several things versus just like lettuce.
Yeah. Do you deliver those?
Yeah.
Or
it's all in town. There's a pickup fulfillment where they can pick up here or they can pick up at market, or if it's over a certain dollar threshold, we'll deliver it in town.
Okay.
So
very cool.
And we usually just tack that on to our normal restaurant deliveries too.
Okay, so you have restaurants as well?
A few, not many, just a couple, and then a grocery store. So maybe farmers markets is more like 60%. The grocery store and online store is probably our second to highest, and then restaurants probably last. So
very cool.
Yeah.
So it looks like in here you've got some things going to seed.
Yeah, so that's arugula, which at this point, so it's kind of, I'm kind of treating it like a cover crop where we didn't really have anything to plant in here. I'm just gonna let winter kill it. And right now it's still providing benefits, like, you know, there's living roots in the ground, it's photosynthesizing, you know, there's earthworms and critters, you know, right at the roots. So I'm just gonna let it grow versus like mowing it down and having it bare for however long.
Or do you save the seeds?
No, no, that's not something I have in my bandwidth right now, in my mental capacity. But so we harvested a little bit of this bed this morning, actually. This is our #1 crop right here. It's just a crowd favorite. I think it's just really good. It's our salad mix. We have it almost year round. The color just kind of, and the texture sells itself, and it's just really good. It's really sweet. So we try to have that year round. And then some of the roots that we added, we've harvested this bed 2 times, so it looks really thin right now, but yeah, it's been really, roots have really helped, I think, our booth display because it's so colorful. Like when we had just greens, it was hard to like separate the colors, and it just didn't make it as attractive.
Yeah.
But when you have like purple beets, orange carrots, red radish, purple kohlrabi, and things like that, it's just like stunning.
Yeah.
It really is. And it makes me really happy looking at it. And I know customers love it too. And it's good for me and our crew to do more than just greens. Like it's just, you gotta do something different every once in a while.
It just makes you a little happier.
It does.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a little bit of a construction zone.
Okay.
Right now, and I can tell you about it.
Sure.
If you want.
You said you were trenching.
Yes. So we just walked it downhill a little bit. It's kind of more severe up there.
Yeah.
When it rains, all these caterpillar tunnels shed the water, and it doesn't get soaked up. It just runs down the hill, keeps going, and goes right into this greenhouse. The nice thing about greenhouses is you can control the moisture level, in the beds, but when the water just gushes in, it's not helping your situation.
Yeah.
This French drain, I don't know if I'm using the right terminology, but NRCS has a cost share program where they're helping pay for some of this French drain just to prevent erosion of the beds in here. So yeah, we trenched it, and then we'll backfill it with gravel. Today, actually, a guy's coming and gonna like shoot it right into here. I try to use the tractor bucket and just do this. And I could do it. It's just like a very tight space to turn the tractor, and it saves me probably a couple hours getting somebody to come in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that'll catch the water, and then it'll drain it back through the field and into the creek back there. So I need to finish the trench, but yeah.
Very cool. So in this greenhouse, you have...
Yes. So this is filled up 100% with the salad mix that we just saw, head lettuce. So head lettuce is just like individual heads.
Right.
And this is the shade cloth that I told you about. So we just planted this a week ago. So probably at the end of this week, I'll take the shade cloth off because the roots are now established. It can handle some stress by the heat, even though it's not that hot out.
Right.
But that's just kind of our practice for getting plants established. Or if we do direct seed, we'll throw the shade cloth over just to create a shadow and help things germinate better.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it just makes them really happy.
Yeah, very cool.
Underneath there.
When did you put your greenhouse up? How long have you had it?
This is the first year we've used it. I think in March, it'll be 2 years of having it. But that first year that we had it, we didn't really grow in it. We just had it cover cropped. So this is the first year where there's actually stuff in it. I've loved it. We got power out here too, which is really nice. We were just running an extension cord from the house out here. Yeah. Because you do need circulation in here. You need to be able to open and close things.
Right.
Yeah, this is the meter that was installed this spring.
Very cool.
That also makes me really happy.
Yeah.
So it's just like all those things when it comes to like power or like electrical and water. I don't know. I'm not very savvy with those things. Even just talking with a contractor, like feel really silly. Like, like I don't know what I need really. Like I don't even know what questions to ask. But I know
I'm just gonna trust you to tell me exactly what it is.
I just need power, and
I need those fans to go around and around and around.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. Can you make things have noise in here? So, but right now there's a lot of like stuff in here. Yeah. It's not the prettiest space. It needs to, we don't have a barn.
Right.
So that's actually been one of the hardest things is storing equipment and amendments and just totes and just all the stuff that you need.
Out of the weather.
Out of the weather. So right now, a large portion of this is storage for tools and amendments like that. One day I would love to have a barn. Okay. That's a goal. Hopefully one day soon.
Yeah. Where would you want to put it?
I think right kind of in this little kind of right there.
Here.
Right there.
Kind of centrally located everything.
Central to the field, more or less. Yeah. And I don't know, I would love to do like some sort of living quarters in the front, like the top of it, either for Airbnb or like farm staff members, and then have like a space where we could actually bring people out here to the farm and host and entertain. Yeah. Nothing like anything glamorous, but like at least shade. Yeah. Because when you're out here in the summer, it's a hayfield, and so there's no shade, and so it's just very uncomfortable. And even in this like the evening, the sun doesn't clear the trees until like 9 p.m. and so it's just like the western sun is so hot, and so it's hard to be out here. But it is beautiful. We need more spaces on the farm that's like friendlier to be in, to enjoy. So this is a lot of our fall produce is going on up here. And again, this is the first time we've grown up on this plot. Our fall stuff is beets, daikon radish, fennel, watermelon radish, carrots, radicchio, cabbage, broccolini, and bok choy. I think that's everything out here. Some of it we've already like cleared out. We don't have those things that I listed. And some of the stuff got kind of buggy too. You'll notice like right here.
Yeah.
This is watermelon radish.
Tastes good apparently.
So, so the leaves look terrible because one, it was too dense when it was really hot out still. I wish I had my knife and I could just slice this open for you. But yeah, you can still eat the roots. They just don't look, the greens don't look so pretty.
Yeah.
So usually we'll top them and sell them in like a pint or a quart.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, it's a really pretty color on the inside.
Huh.
Carrots, that's probably been one of my favorite crops this year. So carrots were one thing that we tried early on and just failed at pretty bad. And so we didn't really grow them until this year again, outside of that first year. Yeah, they won't just pull out if you just try without kind of forking them. But
Whoa, those are beautiful.
Yeah, some of them are a little funky. You always get like ones that like fork.
Like toes.
Yes. People just love carrots. You're pretty much guaranteed to sell them if you can grow them.
Yeah.
Which is really, it's a good feeling. They are just so much better than store-bought carrots. Fresh carrots are. Yeah, we used to grow carrots and they looked like L's. They would go down and then go this way because they would hit the hard pan soil and then just like could not go further down.
Yeah.
So then they went sideways and nobody likes that.
Nobody wants a funky looking carrot.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a really good win for us this year.
So this was cover crop before?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything was cover cropped. And so you'll see actually two different systems here. This is one system where the cover crop, all this cover crop was rye, vetch, and clover. At the end of May, it was about as tall as I am. Very dense. Kind of looked like, just a wall of grass. Over here, we pushed it down, just leaned it over. We didn't crimp it, but we kind of crimped it, but not really.
I've seen people using a 2x4.
Yeah, so we tried that. It was too hard
to
push it. So we have a BCS, and I didn't till it. I just used the tines just to kind of lay them over. And then we dragged a tarp over it and just like cooked it for 2 or 3 weeks. And that killed it. And so then what happened was it left this really, it's not as thick as it was, but it left a really thick mat. This is like getting thinner, but like before you could not see the soil at all. And then you just transplant right into it. And so it's a grown in place mulch where, it's shading out weeds, it's keeping the soil cool, and you didn't have to lay down the straw. You just like grew it right there. Yeah. Huge success. Loved it. It's really stunning when it's gold, like right after you kind of take it off. It's really pretty.
Nice.
So the carrots are different because you have to direct seed those. So this only works when you transplant because you can't run a seeder through that stuff. With the carrots, we mowed it down, tarped it, and then we raked it to the pathway. So that's how we kind of got it out.
So then your pathways were just
the pathway mulched. Yeah.
Because you can kind of see.
You kind of see
where the pathways were.
Yeah. So
even though they've kind of overgrown now.
And then you'll see like for some things we still use like the traditional fabric.
Yeah.
Planted it right into the fabric. So.
Yep. Now this plant over here, I just am curious. What is this?
Yes. So these are the same plant, just 2 different varieties. Kohlrabi.
Okay.
So they are just starting to bulb. To my knowledge, it's like the category of vegetable. Like you have like fruiting crops, you have roots. This is in its own category called a swollen stem.
Okay.
It's the swollen stems. So
and that's it?
That's it.
Okay.
But it's not the root, but it's their stem right here will actually kind of continue to swell and expand to about the size of a baseball.
Really?
And then that's when you harvest it.
What does it taste like?
It tastes like broccoli and like a turnip. So it's a very mild, crisp, white interior crop. So,
do you just like stir fry it?
Stir fry it, eat it raw. We did a lot of slaws in the spring.
Ooh, I bet that is really good in a slaw. Yeah. And are the leaves also edible?
I'm sure they are. I'll tell you right now.
Hope you don't just die from a poison or something.
Yeah, it tastes like a kale, like any sort of kind of
Really?
brassica leaf.
Okay.
I think most leaves are edible, but we have so many other like greens to eat that we just don't gravitate towards some of these things that you could eat.
Now, what is this? Because this too looks quite interesting.
That's another one, yeah. Yeah, it's funny, the most weird crops on the farm are side by side next to each other. We're almost done harvesting this. We'll have one more week probably. This is celeriac. So the top of the plant looks like celery, but you harvest this, which is the root, and it has a very celery flavor, more mild. It's a soft flesh on the inside, very white on the inside. So you have to peel that outside skin, and then you can roast it, eat it raw, almost kind of treat it like a potato.
It kind of looks like a pineapple.
I know. That's what I kept thinking all year. This is our first year growing it. But
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then you're just kind of about finished with the rest of the bed.
Yeah. We're starting to harvest our radicchio. This is really pretty. So the heads are in here. So we'll kind of come in and chop the heads, but it has like just a beautiful like leaf. Just like the
coloring.
Yeah, just the magenta and white. It's just really pretty. So you mix that in with the salad.
Now, speaking of cover cropping and like soil toppers, what do you do with the stuff you don't harvest?
Oh, like this stuff?
Yeah, like do you just put it back on the ground and let it decompose on its own?
That's ideally, yeah. I love doing that because you don't have to haul it anywhere. It just, goes away. We do have the compost pile right there. It's got like wood chips next to it. But yeah, anything that we don't sell, we compost. Unless it's like diseased or something, we don't throw that stuff in there, but yeah.
I mean, I know your neighbors there, I'm sure their pigs would love to get a hold of some of these things, but so I just wasn't sure what you did with those.
We've given them Jason things, and their pigs are hilarious.
They are hilarious.
Especially when they get excited about food. It's really funny.
Yeah.
Most of the production area, again, we have a deer fence on the perimeter. We put that in last year.
Yeah, and that is helpful.
Helpful, but deer still jump over it. And
really?
It's
that's like 8 foot tall, 7 foot tall?
It's 8.
8?
Yeah.
And they still jump over that?
I think it's 8. It's at least 8, yes.
Man, they don't get tangled?
Sometimes they clip it, but they don't get stuck.
Okay.
It's not like a wire fence, it's just mesh where they'll might fall or something, but then they'll get right back up and just keep running.
Yeah, wow. So do you have much crop damage due to wildlife out here, or?
No, we did have a ton before we had the deer fence, but the deer fence combined with our dog helps.
So you have, it is a pet dog or a livestock guardian dog?
Pet dog, Australian Shepherd.
Okay, so close enough.
She's an indoor dog. Well, she's indoor outdoor, but we joke all the time she is a very pampered farm dog.
She's an inside cat.
Yes.
I want to talk, we talked about your cover cropping. I find it really interesting that you are having the forethought that you're probably going to use other parts of your land at some point, whether it's to probably give some parts a rest and move, or to expand. So you're cover cropping them now.
Yeah.
Where you didn't come from a farming background, and you talked about how hard this was in the beginning. So where did that thought come from? Is that something that you learned from someone, or something that you just decided one day?
I don't think anything was me deciding. I think I'd be pretty arrogant if I said that. I hope I don't forget, nothing came from me.
Okay.
Once we got in the farm space more and more, we started just knowing more and more people in the scene, whether they're like resource folks like NRCS. There's a lady, Kara, who's educated me a lot on cover cropping, and she's seen a lot of farms, and that's one of her favorite tools that she has seen implemented is cover cropping.
Okay.
Kind of piqued my interest. The other farmer that's a couple miles down the way, he cover crops, and so I've kind of picked his brain before, and then just been blessed with books that have come out recently from other farmers that are doing cover cropping on a smaller scale, and they're just good authors and good teachers where I can just read this and actually implement it pretty easily. Even just videos on YouTube of, usually I only watch farms that I know are either authors that I know a little bit more about them. I just don't take anyone for granted.
Right.
At least not right now. But,
maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day. But yeah, I learned it from other people, and
it's just something that's worked for you.
Yeah, and again, I think we've been in kind of growth mode. So my growth and the future is always kind of just in my mind right now, even with the placement of infrastructure and it's kind of hard to think like 10, 15 years, 20 years down the road, but like
especially when you have kids.
I know.
Especially when you have small kids, because your kids are the same age as mine, like
yes,
3 and under 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any like big decision, I try to like think about the now and the future.
Yeah.
And you could get too in the weeds with that mindset, but like, I don't know, I like setting myself up for success.
Yeah.
And I think that's the idea behind cover cropping.
So speaking of the future, where do you see Wilder Love? Sorry, no. I knew I was gonna say it wrong.
Wilder Love.
Love.
Wilderness, yeah.
Wilder Love Farm. Where do you see it going in the future? You already have a few people working for you.
Mm-hmm.
I know you said a barn is next, but as far as the business goes,
yeah.
Where are you headed?
I think staying like servicing our community, not really expanding outward to like bigger cities, like other markets. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to offer the team better pay. Benefits would be awesome. Like supporting like a full-time crew, you know, salary or wage rate versus like a part-time. And that would help us to like be able to get away more often. If people were here like every day for the full day, make it easier on us to like go on a vacation or something. Having more people here like from our community, like not workers, but just like guests, where we can be a venue to host an event. Whether it's like, we talked about like pizza nights in the summer, like, you know, like one Thursday a month, we do pizza nights. But we would need something to like, we need something to host people.
I think if you want to host, so where we're from, they did a supper club once a quarter.
Okay.
And they used only ingredients from local farms. And people had to pre-buy their ticket so that the farmers were paid for on the night, before the night of. We supplied some of the meat. Other vegetable farms supplied, you know, the greens and things. And they even got like local vineyards for the wine.
Oh, wow.
And it was very fancy, but very cool.
Yeah.
And a way to really support local farms. And thinking about how many small farms you have around here that could supply a delicacy, something like that. And if you have a mind for hosting, that might be something you could look at in the future, because that was really cool to have for them to do.
Yeah.
So
did Jason mention his farm to table event that they did this summer?
What?
He didn't host it. There's another organization that did everything. He just provided the venue.
Okay.
And then they provided the staffing and the chefs and did everything else more or less. I'm sure there's more involved with Jason and Amanda, but we supplied a lot of the produce and got to go on the house because we supplied.
Yeah.
Honestly, it probably was one of the highlights of the year.
Because you get to show off your food directly with the people eating it. I mean, how cool.
It was just such a beautiful night. Like it was also fancy. I mean, there's a cellist, a pianist, beautiful setting that overlooked like the pastured pork. It was just beautiful. Yeah. And you can't like do that in a restaurant. Like it was just so unique. And
you can't get that kind of atmosphere.
No, it was beautiful. I loved it.
That's awesome. We'll have to ask them about that.
Yeah,
That's
you should.
Really cool.
Yeah, tell them it was a highlight of my year.
I will, absolutely. Before we end, a question that I just like to ask every farmer, and I'll talk slowly. It's hard not to eat the delicious produce, isn't it? Especially when it's just sitting there in your hand. A question I like to ask everybody is, if there is one thing about your farm that is on your heart that you deeply need or want people to know about, whether it's a practice, a policy, an ideology, whatever it is, just one, maybe a few things, I don't know, but one thing that you're like, if people watch this video, this is what I want them to know about Wilder Love
Farm. Yeah, that it is a collective effort of a crew of people that make this work, and I am happy that that's the case. First of all, like, it would be a lot of pressure on one person to do anything like this. Like, I don't even know if you could. You want to celebrate the victories with other people, a team of people, and you want to like cry with them, like, oh, this really sucks, and everyone gets it. Like, we're all in it together. I think starting out, I didn't really imagine like hiring anybody. I just kind of imagined the lifestyle, and was like, oh, this is great, and I can be outside and work independently. And I think that would get a little lonely quite fast. So I would love people, when they see our farm, to know that, it's a team, a crew of people that love doing what they're doing, and any dollar that somebody spends here is like, it's going to them, it's going to our family. Like, it's just, I don't know. That to me is something to get excited about.
Yeah, to a person.
Person here and that's living,
Yeah.
you're rubbing shoulders with them in the community, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm happy to have a team and want to have like better environment for the team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that when they see this, they don't see me. So and I'm kind of shy too. Like I get a little, especially in front of people, don't like to get up there. And so I would love them to see like the whole team when they think of our farm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But it was so cool to come out here and see this place, and I am so ready to grab some of my own veggies.
Yes.
So let's get to doing that. But I just want to say thank you so much.
Yeah.
Actually, if somebody wants to know more about you, where to find you, where do they go?
Probably the best place to start is Instagram. That way you can like visually see our story over the years, and we always give big updates. Wilder Love Farm is our handle. Just that. Yeah, I would start there.
Okay, so, wilderlovefarm.com.
Well, that's our website. That is our website, but our Instagram handle just Wilder Love Farm.
Okay.
So
we'll put those in the description below. But yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.